So there's the study about couples sleeping in the same room. We're talking about man and wife sleeping in the same room. Half say we will entertain sleeping in separate bedrooms. And I don't know why that's shocking to me, but it is.
Well, okay, so I had to sleep separately from my husband last week. He was sick.
That's a different story.
Right. And so,
not permanent.
But wait.
Oh, there's more.
I don't sleep really well. I just don't. I wake up from time to time throughout the night. And for whatever reason, I slept like a rock last week. And I don't know if I had the space or maybe it was because I will say our dog sleeps with us, so maybe I had more room.
Well, also, they just got back from a vacation.
Yeah. So maybe.
I'm thinking vacation helped.
Probably that I was sleeping like a rock.
Yeah, and you're more relaxed and your schedule was a little different.
But I will say, I still missed it. I missed him, Snuggly Buggly. You miss.
Ugly Buggly?
No, I said Snuggly Buggly.
Oh, Snuggly Buggly.
I just missed that. So I don't think it's something that I would do permanently.
Well, same. There are times that I wake up in the middle of the night. I can't go back to sleep. I don't like laying there. No. So I'll go downstairs and turn on the TV to help me go back to sleep.
Isn't that weird? My husband does that as well if he can't sleep. And so Rob is going in watching TV and then falling straight out. How do you do it?
Because it takes my mind off of being angry that I go back to sleep.
Makes sense.
That's what happens to me. But I think Scott's wife is a light sleeper.
She is. I have no trouble sleeping. My head can hit the pillow and I'm out.
That's a gift.
But she has a really difficult time. I think she would tell you she sleeps better if I'm not in the room too because I snore, apparently. So
maybe that.
Apparently.
Sleeping with a lawnmower or not.
I'm hearing denial here, man.
You don't think
I've never heard it. I've never heard it myself, but I'm waiting for her to record it and play it back.
You're listening to Rob and Lizz in the morning.
His radio.
So we're hearing word that some people say they will entertain. I'm not, personally, but they will entertain sleeping in separate rooms as a married couple so they can get a good night's sleep.
Yeah. Hearing from Destiny, she texted 800-447-7234 and said, my husband and I have been sleep separated for over 15 years. We sleep in separate rooms because he snores and I'm a light sleeper, not a good combination. Best decision they have ever
So it's
made.
Worked for Destiny.
Yeah. And then
they like it.
Right. Teresa and her husband, they've been married a good long time. They started sleeping in separate bedrooms last year because her husband snores so loud, it wakes her up. She can't sleep. She tried earplugs. That didn't help. So they don't like that they're sleeping separate, but it's the only solution to help them get a good night's sleep.
Notice how it's only the husbands that are snoring in this case. This morning.
That we've heard from.
Lauren's here at 800-447-7234. How about you, Lauren?
Luckily for me, I'm deaf in one ear, so I can't hear my husband and my dog snoring at night. But if I had to listen to that, I don't think I could take it. I could take it.
You say you're deaf in one ear, so how do you actually sleep with all that noise?
Just sleep on my good ear, and then I don't hear anything.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's a benefit. It's sad, but it's a benefit for that.
Yeah.
Because they're both so loud. I would probably have to, I would be like Liz. I think maybe I would have to take a vacation to another room occasionally if I had to hear it.
You're listening to Rob and Lizz in the morning.
His radio.
Jake goes out into his yard, and his little baby is out there playing in the yard, and all of a sudden, out of the corner of his eye, he sees a snake.
Oh, no.
Snake. And he's like, okay, in that second, what do I do? What do I do? This happens in Australia, by the way.
What do you do?
He jumped in between his daughter and the snake. He got bit. She did not. He's a superhero. I mean, in that instant.
Well, he saved his little girl.
Absolutely.
Wanted to make sure she was okay.
I think that happens when you become a parent. Like, I don't know before. I've never been faced with anything like that. If you wouldn't have that survival instinct and run, I don't know. Or if you would just jump in but
what happened to him?
He's recovering now. He got bitten and
So
had to go to the
poisonous?
hospital. Oh, this thing was super poisonous. It's an eastern snake. They did not, from what I saw, say what type of snake, but it's highly venomous and it can kill children and animals, small animals.
I think Scott did something like this. I remember a snake of some sort.
Yeah, it was a copperhead. I didn't know it at the time. My daughter, this was several years ago. She was about 10. She said, there's a snake under the bush. And, I'm thinking a little garter snake or anything. And I go over there and look, and it's curled up, a copperhead. And I'm like, whoa. So,
Dude,
grab the shovel. I get it to kind of scurry away a little bit and
you took care of business, huh?
took it out.
Scott, I just feel like Scott was really scared. Were you scared?
I sort of had that adrenaline rush, like, you're not going to get my baby girl. So
Yeah, right? That's when you
Took
turn
care
into
of it.
super dad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think, even if you are scared in that moment, because I think you had to been a little bit, but you still jump into action.
Yeah.
I did one in our garage. I saved our family.
Let's save the family from what?
It was a snake.
What kind?
I don't know. But my son said a glorified earthworm.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
His radio.
So we just got an open mic in.
Oh, yeah. You can access, if you ever want to leave us a message, inside the My HISRadio app. Just look for the little microphone.
It's called the open mic. Google Play in the App Store. You can download the app for free at any time. So here is that open mic that just came in.
Funny little story about an animal in my house. There was a scratch, 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 and I finally determined that it was in my dryer. I open up the dryer, and there's a little mouse. I screamed, it screamed. I slammed the door. I turned it on just for a second. Thump, thump, thump. I open it up. The mouse is stumbling like he's drunk, and his eyes are kind of crossed and wobbly, and then he runs out from the hole which he came in.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
His radio.
It's been like 5 years, and because there was COVID in between that time, the Special Olympics in Fayetteville just hasn't happened. So it's returning, finally.
Oh, that's good.
There is so much excitement in Fayetteville because of this right now with the Special Olympics that are coming. And let me tell you, I don't know if you've ever volunteered at a Special Olympics, but you should see the athletes. They are absolutely amazing.
And I mean, just their celebration, when they take part and they get to see their friends and just hanging out and having fun. And when they get that medal, oh my goodness.
Well, and there's so much to the Special Olympics. If you've been, you've probably noticed there's a fun tent and they're for the kids. And there, for this one at the Methodist University in Fayetteville, there's about 100 athletes that come out to this at the Special Olympics.
So this is something that was definitely needed, understand, during the pandemic, but it's back, so yeah.
Yeah, and when you shatter the stigmas that are behind why being in a Special Olympics, it's like, listen, they're more athletic than you are.
Oh,
you know?
for real. And they train hard just like, other Olympians. So this is gonna be a fun time.
Because it's been like 5 years, I think there's still a need for some volunteers to step up and help out because it's been a while, right? And so your base is kind of gone. So definitely pray about that in Fayetteville for the Special Olympics that are coming so they have enough volunteers for this.
Yeah, and even if you can't volunteer, just come on out and celebrate them.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
His radio.
It's amazing to see a couple of years ago, and this is circulating right now, but a couple of years ago, Jim Carrey, familiar name, you would think.
Yeah.
Big time actor, right?
Big time actor. The
Really
Mask, The
funny
Grinch.
guy.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. But he's gone through a lot of stuff, and then all of a sudden here he is with a group of former prisoners.
Mm-hmm.
Prisoners, some people that made mistakes, and he's talking about the mistakes that he's made in his life and how he's found forgiveness and how he's found grace. And here he gets to a point where he's relating with the former prisoners that made some mistakes in their life. And he starts talking about Jesus with them and starts out by saying, hey, you just by being here. And here's what he says.
Ultimately, I believe that suffering leads to salvation. And in fact, it's the only way that we have to somehow accept and not deny, but feel our suffering and feel our losses. And then we make one of two decisions. We either decide to go through the gate of resentment, which leads to vengeance, which leads to self-harm, which leads to harm to others, or we go through the gate of forgiveness, which leads to grace. And your being here is an indication that you've made that decision already. You've made the decision to walk through the gate of forgiveness to grace, just as Christ did on the cross. He suffered terribly, and he was broken by it.
kind of hard to hear, I know, but he's talking about you just by being here. You've said that you're indicating that you want to cross into forgiveness and into grace, and Jesus suffered and he died on the cross. I'm paraphrasing what he's saying. But man, he's talking some real stuff with these former prisoners here.
He is. And he even said, at the beginning, before this started, there's two choices. There's the path of resentment and there's the path of forgiveness. He said, if you choose the path of resentment, that's what may lead you into harming someone else or, just making bad choices in your life. It's when you choose forgiveness that change kind of happens. And think about Jim Carrey, the people that know his name. I would say billions know his name. And he's talking about forgiveness that he's found in Jesus. And even goes on to talk about the sacrifice that Jesus made. So my takeaway from this is that Jim Carrey believes everything that he is saying. It's pretty amazing.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
His radio.
I don't know if you noticed, but when you go into a parking lot of some Lowe's right now, not all of them, but some of the Lowe's, you'll see this robot kind of shaped like an egg that's going around the parking lot. It has Lowe's on it and security on it. It's a security robot.
That's wild.
Seriously.
That's wild.
It is. And you hear it. It's like some kind of that's a bad way to put it.
Do it
You
again?
hear a you hear a whirling sound as the thing goes by.
Well, I guess it's the inside mechanisms and the wheels.
I think they're
that-
amplifying it too.
Oh, yeah, well.
But it's
so you
to
notice
keep
it.
people safe in the parking lots. I was reading in Philadelphia where there's a bunch of them at Lowe's. People are calling them snitch bots
Oh, my
because
goodness.
it's snitching on people.
For what, though? Like leaving the
Stealing.
carts? Oh, for stealing. So
Yeah.
when you said keeping people safe, I was like, oh, well, that's nice. Like, making sure that everything is caught on camera. I wasn't
Yeah.
thinking about stealing.
Yeah, people steal.
Well, I know people
Sadly,
steal. But I didn't know
people
it was-
steal. Scott says that he's seen some of these.
Yeah, it reminds me of an egg-shaped R2-D2, and I didn't know what it was at first, but it's just kind of strolling along, roaming around the parking lot in the store. So
Yeah, and it's
I did.
taller than R2-D2.
Yeah.
Because R2-D2 on Star Wars is pretty small. You got C-3PO, so it's probably a mix between the height of a C-3PO
Yeah.
and a look of an R2-D2
Right.
without the arms coming out of the side.
Right. He's a little warm. But if Ben Kenobi comes out of that thing, I'm out.
I'm so curious, Scott. What was it like when you went up to it?
Well, I thought it was following me for a while, but it just sort of does its thing. Like you said, makes the little noises. And, it reminded me of those sweepers that go around the stores,
Yes.
too. I didn't know if it was cleaning the store or, what it was
parking
doing.
lot.
But
Have you ever had one of those, Scott, at Sam's that follows you around when it's sweeping the floor? Like, it's like, beep, 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 beep. You're like, wait a minute, I'm shopping here.
What are they called?
Yes.
Robo something?
Yeah.
I don't know, robo sweepers.
Rotunda? What do you call those things?
Terminator.
No, that's sweep the floor.
I don't know.
That vacuum the floor. You know what they are. Ninja, you know what they are.
Shop vac?
A Roomba?
That's it, a Roomba.
Oh, this
man.
is
Yeah.
bigger than a Roomba.
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
His radio.
911, what's your emergency? I can't tell my babies apart. This happened.
That's a real thing?
That happened.
No way.
Yeah, there's this woman, her name's Sophia, and she has twins. They're probably 3 months old is how old
And
they
she
look.
can't tell them apart? She called 911?
They are identical. And so she had a little ribbon, little blue ribbon that was on one of their ankles. And that way she kept them straight because they're so alike. And so what they're having to do, listen, she even says, I'm mom of the year.
Oh, no.
Sarcastically, I'm mom of the year. She is going to have to take the babies to the police station, have them fingerprinted so she knows who's who.
To compare them to the prints from the hospital. Oh, no.
Because she has no earthly idea. But calling 911, that's different.
Yeah.
I might have called the doctor and said, okay, I know this is terrible. And it's not. It's not
But listen,
terrible.
when it's an emergency.
But
You're listening to Rob and Liz in the morning.
His radio.
Please, somebody make it stop. Just make it stop. That noise. Just make it stop. Oh, hi. It's Rob and Lizz in the morning, his radio.
Ladies at home, and she hears chirp, 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 chirp. She tries to find where it's coming from. She's going all over her house, all over her house.
Got to be behind the wall.
Finally, that's the conclusion she comes to. She calls Wildlife Rescue. Now, this is in England, so she calls Wildlife Rescue. Hello, there's a bird stuck behind my wall. They come out. Was that good?
That was like Adele or something. Yeah.
Right. That was a Cockney accent. So they get to her house and they're, about ready to bust the walls down, basically. And then they realize it's not coming from behind the wall.
Where was it?
It's under the sofa,
Get
stuck
out,
in the
really?
sofa, and it's not an actual bird.
Well, then what was it if it sounds like a bird?
It's a stuffed animal.
What?
That sounded
It was a toy?
Yeah, it was a Harry Potter owl that's from the movies. And one of her kids evidently had this stuffed animal. And somehow it got stuffed down into the couch. And as the batteries go down, I've experienced this. As the batteries go down in a toy, it does not shut up. It just keeps going.
Keeps going.
Yeah, we had an Elmo that happened to. Oh, my goodness gracious.
So Elmo would not be quiet, huh?
Shut up.
Wow.
And so that's what happened. But she called Wildlife Rescue.
And Wildlife came out for a stuffed animal under the couch.
Superheroes to the rescue.
You're listening to Rob and Lizz in the morning.
His radio.
I was reading that Google is now adding AI to some of their stuff. You know those chat GBTs that can, did I say it right?
Yes.
Chat GPT. Yeah, I got to say that slower so I don't say it wrong. But they can do the text function and the writing for you, so it's going to go through Google Docs and email assistants and all this AI-generated stuff.
It's wild. I'm still trying to wrap my brain. I'm not really technically sound, so it's hard for me to understand some of that kind of thing. So Chat GPT?
Yeah, very good.
See, I'm like, what? And then artificial intelligence. Okay. And my only point of reference is probably Terminator movies.
Right? It's
or
like Skynet's
iRobot.
taking over.
Right? That's the way it sounds. And we're starting to hear so much more about artificial intelligence. I'll be the first to admit, I'm having a hard time keeping up. What it can do and how I can integrate it in my life. And do I want to integrate it into my life? So,
And a lot of people are.
yeah. So, wow. It's interesting to hear all the things that are happening, and it seems daily.
Now that Google is getting into it, and it's going to affect anything that you have Google. I have Gmail and, those drives and all that other stuff from Google.
True, I have Gmail and the Drive, but I will say I don't use Google quite as much. Probably.
Yeah, you do. You use it every day when you search.
Well, yes, but
You
I mean,
do.
I don't incorporate it. I only use Gmail for work. I don't have a personal Gmail, so.
Gmail for work. You
Yeah.
have a hisradio.net.
Yeah.
So let's see. Why don't we get you on Bing for a week?
What in the world? I've heard of Bing, but I don't know. Is it a search
That's
engine
Microsoft's search engine.
that no one uses?
Rob and Lizz.
His morning crew.
Thank you for helping His Radio. The difference that you make is absolutely amazing, especially during these hard economic times. You're keeping His Radio going strong.
Absolutely. And it's your generosity. Honestly, it's God working through you, but you also have to say, okay, I can do that. His radio is so important to me and my family. We listen on the way into work, or maybe you're doing your makeup right now, in the house, and it just starts your day. And then you make that possible for others.
Listening to some of these stories, I don't know if you caught any of them. The 40 years of changing lives on His Radio just makes me think that there are people that are just reaching out for a lifeline. And I love the fact that His Radio, through God, is that connecting point to Jesus, that lifeline that is just thrown out for people that need to hold on to hope. Friendrasier's coming up. And that's, just less than 4 weeks from now.
Less than 4 weeks away. I can't believe it's here. But you don't have to wait until then. If you want to say, look, I want to put my money where my heart is, and that is the music and the message and that lifeline for other people, sharing Jesus with others. And I want to do that even today. You can, and it's super easy. You can text the word GIVE to 800-447-7234, hisradio.com, or inside the My HISRadio app.